First of all, I would like to support my colleagues who highly appreciated the work carried out by the Chinese side during the presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This year is special for all our states. On May 9th, Moscow solemnly celebrated the anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War and the defeat of Nazi Germany. And the day after tomorrow, large-scale events dedicated to the victory over Japanese militarism and the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War will be held in Beijing. We managed to crush Nazism and militarism thanks to the unification of the peoples of many countries of the world. As a result of the Second World War, the United Nations was established, which also celebrates its 80th anniversary this year. And its charter includes the key principles of the supremacy of international law, the right of the nation to self-determination, sovereign equality, non-interference in internal affairs, respect for the independence and national interests of each state. These principles are true and unwavering to this day. It is on these principles that the activities of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which unites like-minded people who are committed to the idea of building a just multi-layered order, are built. A solid package of documents has been prepared for the current meeting of the Council of Heads of State. The main document, the Tianjin Declaration, reflects the agreed approaches of the participating countries on the key issues of the global and regional agenda. Of course, I would also like to note the strategy adopted today for the development of the Cooperation Organization until 2035, which predetermines the main areas of activity of the Shanghai Organization in politics, economy, security, and the humanitarian sphere. The pace of development of cooperation within the framework of the Cooperation Organization is really impressive. For example, the average growth of shale domestic product in the member states last year was more than 5%. Industrial production was 4.6%. Income growth and cross-border trade are all above the world standards. National currencies are increasingly used in mutual accounts. We stand for the issuance of joint bonds between member states, for the creation of our own payment, accounting, and depository infrastructure, for the formation of a joint investment bank. All this will increase the efficiency of our economic exchanges and protect them from the fluctuations of the external currency. As part of the Cooperation Organization, a sophisticated and competitive transport infrastructure is being built up in a series of steps. The volumes of automobile, railway, and multimodal transport are growing. Closer customs interaction is being established. Electronic turnover documents are being actively introduced. The strategy of energy cooperation until 2030, which we approved last year, is being implemented in full swing. The roadmap adopted today in its development is aimed at conducting coordinated and balanced energy policy throughout the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. As many colleagues have already noted, the links between the participants of the organization in the field of science and education, healthcare, and the environment, sports and youth exchanges are expanding. The University of Shenzhen, which brings together 77 universities from our states, is working successfully. Regular forums of rectors of universities are being held. A dialogue between students, postgraduates, and teachers is being activated. Dear colleagues, our organization is consistently increasing its influence in the solution of current international issues. It is a powerful locomotive for the processes of global development and the assertion of true multilateralism. And of course, the organization is making a tangible contribution to strengthening the atmosphere of cooperation and mutual trust throughout the Eurasian continent, thereby helping to lay down political and socio-economic prerequisites for the formation of a new system of stability, security, and peaceful development in Eurasia. A system that would replace the revived Eurocentric and Euro-Atlantic models and would take into account the interests of the widest possible range of countries would be truly balanced. This would mean that attempts by some states would not be allowed to ensure their security at the expense of the security of others. Taking this opportunity, I would like to say that the Russian side also adheres to similar approaches to the crisis around Ukraine. Let me remind you that this crisis did not arise as a result of Russia's attack on Ukraine, but as a result of the coup d'etat in Ukraine, which was supported and provoked by the West. And then there were attempts by the armed forces to suppress the resistance of those regions of Ukraine and those people in Ukraine who did not accept and support this coup. The second reason for the crisis is the constant attempts by the West to draw Ukraine into NATO, which, as we have repeatedly emphasized and said, and for many years, poses a direct threat to Russia's security. By the way, as a result of the coup d'etat in Ukraine in 2014, the political leadership of the country that did not support Ukraine's entry into NATO was eliminated. In this regard, we appreciate the efforts and proposals of China, India, and other of our strategic partners, which are intended to assist in the settlement of the Ukrainian crisis. I would like to note that the understanding of the recent Russian-American meeting in the Alaskan Highlands, I hope, is also in this direction, opening the road to peace in Ukraine. During the two-way meetings scheduled today and tomorrow, I will certainly inform my colleagues in more detail about the results of the negotiations in Alaska. By the way, yesterday, during lunch, which our hosts arranged for the participants of our meetings within the framework of the SCO, we talked about this with President Xi Jinping. This work has begun, and I informed him in detail about what we have achieved during the negotiations with the President of the United States. And of course, in order for the Ukrainian settlement to have a stable and long-term nature, the primary causes of the crisis, which I have just mentioned, and which I have mentioned more than once before, must be eliminated. A fair balance in the security sphere has been restored. Of course, one of the priority tasks of the SCO is to maintain stability in the participating countries and along the perimeter of foreign borders. Russia supports the program of countering extremism up to 2030, prepared for our meeting, and is ready to join the implementation of this document. We also consider it extremely important to sign today an agreement on the establishment of a SCO's Universal Center in Tashkent, which will respond to the entire range of modern challenges and threats, and on the opening of a separate anti-drug center in Dushanbe. We expect these centers to start working as soon as possible. Finally, I would like to thank my Chinese friends for the very successful meeting of the heads of the United States. I am sure that the issues of the agreements reached here in Tianjin will be subjectively considered at the meeting of the SCO's heads of government, which, as agreed, will take place in November in Moscow. We will be glad to see the delegations of all your countries, dear friends. Of course, I wish the President of Kyrgyzstan, Seyder Nurgazievich Japarov, and his Kyrgyz colleagues great success, who, after today's summit, will take over as chairman of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization.